Look, I messed up. I messed up. I got called out by Wally. I did not do my due diligence. I released a video with incomplete information, and I said a bunch of stupid shit. So we need to remake it. That's what we're doing here. We're remaking the video, and probably going forward until I actually get access to the Midnight Alpha, I probably won't really do anything else. I probably won't talk nearly as much about the alpha because without my ability to actually put my hands on it and touch it, my amount of like care for it is like pretty low, which led to inaccuracies and problems, and that's just not good enough for these kinds of things. So that's my bad. That's totally my bad. I take full responsibility for that. The video's already deleted. It didn't even last like 10 minutes before Wally's like, what the fuck are you talking about? So my bad. I deserve to be put into the stockades and have tomatoes thrown at me. So here's the misconception that I had. So we removed some of arms modifiers to the next use nobility, such as martial prowess, to make it less complex to determine the rotational ability use. I assumed when martial prowess gone that executioner's precision was also gone within the rework, but I was wrong because I glanced at it. I said I didn't see executioner's precision, but it's because they changed it to the condemn icon. So also, we still technically have some form of martial prowess where every time you slam, it increases mortal strikes damage. So, like, and the main reason why I'm bringing these up, even though it's a Fury-focused video, is I used this sort of, like, removing these maintenance buffs as a starting off point for talking about Fury. Because Fury has Unslated Thirst, Blood Craze, and Executioner's Wrath, all things that are rotational abilities, but they buff, like, this buffs Bloodthirst crit chance, this buffs the amount of damage Raging Blow does by 4 seconds, this buffs Rampage by 4 seconds whenever you execute. So, like, for me, I used the arm setup as a jumping off point to talk about this, and now with that not even really being the true case, it recontextualizes this a little bit, which is why I need to remake the video and also talk about my failings of that, because obvious reasons. I don't want to give out wrong information, and I was called out deservingly so, and the only... Where's my weapons? Where's my weapons? And then I felt like this. I just felt like this GIF. It's just how I felt. Because I'm just like, oh! Did not do the due diligence I was supposed to. Put out wrong information. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it, and I hate myself more so for doing it. So, I need to be... what's the right word? I need to be... the word's like responsibility, but it's not. It's not responsibility. It's like... I don't remember what the word is, man. I just need to be... I don't have... It's the correct word for the situation, but I just need to be better, right? Can't be doing that. So, let's actually talk about why I'm kind of a bit iffy on Fury. I'm a bit iffy on Fury for a few reasons. One, we have multiple crit damage... or crit-centric talents, and especially our Apex talent is very crit-centric. And because of that, now we're looking at, well, what stats do we really want for Fury? Because crit was good, or because haste is good, mastery is good, verse was good, although I think verse is more good this season because we had, like, the cloak and the Reishi Wrap boots and a lot of additional damage modifiers from, like, our trinkets making versatility very, very strong. But crit was something Fury's never really, like, at least when I've played it, hasn't really, like, looked towards. We've always been haste mastery. But we have all these crit talents, and our Apex talent is crit-centric, while also only having the crit steroid of spell crit of recklessness, which is very, very odd. So, during Recklessness, crit strikes fuel your thirst for blood, granting you a stack of Rampaging Berserker. Rampaging Berserker increases your strength by 1% per stack and lasts for 20 seconds after Recklessness ends. This reduces the cost of Rampage, so you're casting more Rampages and it's doing more damage. And then, We're also increasing the duration of this buff after Recklessness ends, by the way. We're increasing the duration of this buff by 2 seconds every rampage we send. So this buff lasts during Rec and then lasts for 20 seconds plus whatever however many rampages you can send out after Rec is over. We do need to remember that even though we have the reduced cost of Rampage here, Rec also has a reduced Rage generation. It was 100%, now it's 50%. So I don't know how that's necessarily going to even out in terms of like casts. But we also have lost Depths of Insanity, and we also have the RNG of whether or not we're going to be getting Unbridled Ferocity of increased Recklessness duration as a capstone. This is a capstone talent, by the way. Like, the bottom of bottom talents in the tree, and it's a garbage 6% to Rec for 4 seconds. However, the reason this is a problem is one of the things, if you look at something like Simulation Craft, you'll see, here, I just go. When you look at something like Marksman Hunter, you can see, look at this variance. This is actually the true damage variance of Marksman, and I feel like that's going to happen to Fury Warrior, because you have this variance where it adds to your Recklessness. There is the possibility, I don't know how it works exactly. I think Dan Moore from Methods tested it, but I don't remember exactly what he said. And Arkham Tyros has also like looked at it, where if you, like say you go through your Recklessness window, it ends, and then you proc this, it might just like totally munch your Rampaging Berserker stacks and your damage bonus, and could like, it's just very, very odd, man. It's just so weird why we're getting this like Test of Might talent that nobody wants or likes into Fury after we removed Hurricane, and all of these different strength scaling things where it just doesn't, I don't like it. I don't like it. And the other problem being that because a lot of your damage is going to be tied into having a high level of this buff, we're going to be one of the greediest specs in terms of melee uptime of all of them. And any amount of melee downtime is going to severely impact this buff, severely impact the duration of it, and impact the value of it. To the point where if there's going to be bosses with high downtime in a rec window, the spec could just be insanely underperformative. Or it's possible we just are way overperformative because we get a bunch of good procs, and I just don't like that. I don't like looking at this. You see Fury here? Small variance. Good. You see this? Bad. Bad, 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 bad. Bad design. Bad variance. I don't like it. So we have that to contend with, right? To where any amount of downtime could be multiple % losses of damage, and you have to do this the whole fight. Also to mention, our Recklessness is still reduced by Anger Management. So, with that being the case, these windows are going to be frequent, they're going to be often, and they're going to be insanely important and have almost no variation in ability to, like, get off a boss or do something or be a job doer or, like, do some kind of mechanic, right? Because, let's say, you could say it's akin to, like, well, Frosty K popped their breath and now they have to walk off the boss because they've got some big circle on them. Like, yeah, that can happen. But I don't think the base design of the class should be like, hey, if you get a mechanic, you just lose a crazy amount of damage. It just seems bad. It seems very, very bad. But going back to these small maintenance buffs, the reality is what they probably want, and what probably will be the case, is that you're just going to hit whatever you have on CD or off CD on cooldown, right? Can you hit Bloodthirst? You're going to hit it. Can you hit Execute? You're going to hit it. Do you have enough energy or resource for Rampage? You're going to want to hit it. There will probably be situations to where it's like, hey, you want to make sure you execute before you Rampage because you want this kind of buff. So it'll like a little priority list where it's like execute, Rampage, Bloodthirst Raging Blow or something. They just want it to be simplified and static and solid. But I do wonder if there are cases where it's going to be like, well, do you want to fish for a sudden death proc to get that rampage bonus pre-execute? Like, there are potential problems in how this spec is going to work and how it's going to function. But the reality is they just want things to be simple. You want to hit this, 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 and this. And then it should be fine. It should be fine. But the main pain points of Fury currently is that the stat difference of wanting crit because of these talents is going to be it's just going to be odd. We're going to lose a lot of stat. There's going to be a stat squish going into Midnight. And it just seems very, very odd. Personally, I think it'd be more interesting if instead of strength percent, it gave us like crit damage. We already have multiple crit damage bonuses in the tree, or we have a crit damage bonus here. We have crit damage for other things here in the tree, and I think it'd just be more interesting if Rampaging Berserker is, if they want to keep this talent, I'd rather them get rid of it and rework Fury's Apex talents altogether. I just do not like this perma uptime required style that would be necessary for you to be functional as a Fury Warrior. If like concession, change it to just crit damage, so you can still play the stats you probably want, which is going to be Haste Mastery, and then your crit throughout your rotation for buffs like this will be supplemented by Rampaging Berserker, and you still just play it like normal. Because there's other things to consider. For example, Fierce Follow-Through. Bloodthirst crits increase the damage of your next Bloodthirst by 20%. But we're losing a lot of these like weak auras and add-ons and combat-related things going into Midnight. So are we going to have to like manually keep a tally in our brain? Are we going to have to track our Bloodthirst craze stacks just because we want to make sure we get the Fierce Follow-Through bonus every time, even though they want us to hit the button? It just works. It seemingly works against itself and its design with how how Haste Mastery works for the class, and now how much crit might be a part of it, while also being unable to have a lot of accurate information in combat in regards to what our crit looks like, what we're going for. I mean, they can add like blood craze stacks to the cooldown manager, but like that's obviously, it just doesn't feel like their design is for you to track your crit percentage on a single ability like this. It just seems problematic. And I don't like it. I think they just need to rework this entire Apex talent tree. Because it just promotes bad play. I think it promotes... So they either have to rework it or they have to lean into it. Which means that I think it'd be interesting if Fury became a haste crit class instead of a haste mastery class. They need to rework our mastery probably for that to be the case. The other thing is like one of the problems is the placement and pathing in the Fury tree, because you get to this situation here, right, where it's like, do you want to take Fresh Meat, a talent that's been so bad that we haven't taken it the whole expansion? Not really. We don't really want to take this talent. But if melee attacks are very, very important and our miss chance is not very high, or is very high, so it could impact us in various ways, or raw damage, because we have attack speed scaling here, attack speed scaling here, melee attacks can't miss. Like, one of them is attacks do... Yeah, it's auto attack damage and speed and Surge of Adrenaline. Like, if melee does a lot of damage, we're going to want this talent, but then we're just taking Fresh Meat because we have to, not because we have any kind of variance. So, like, maybe they could put Fresh Meat over here instead, and then you could put Focus and Chaos here, so we go here, here, here. We go bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bong, bong, bing, bong, bong, boom, and get into these talents, right? Also, what's the point of Invigorating Fury? I don't really get this. War Pain is better in literally every situation. I don't understand why this talent is a thing. It should have just go away. It should just be War Pain. It's just a noob trap talent. But yeah, Fury just from the onset, just looking at it, it feels very, 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 very weird. We also have targets critically struck by Bloodthirst take 20% additional damage from your bleeds? This actually, I believe, was found to be a buff on the player. So in AOE, it potentially makes more sense that we could maybe even look at Odin's Fury potentially, because we're going to be having a bigger bleed buff here. They got rid of Thunderous Roar, so we don't have Thunderous Words to buff Odin's Fury. Maybe they need to buff it again. I don't know. It's very, like, even this one, Rampage, increase the damage of your next Bloodthirst by 10%. It's very, very odd where, realistically, everything is just supposed to happen in the background as you play, but as people that like to look at numbers and min-max and try and figure out exactly what we're supposed to do, it just has the potential to be very, very problematic. Also, this talent here, Rampaging Ruin, is very, very odd. While Improved Whirlwind is active, Rampage strikes all targets in front of you. That sounds good, but it actually replaces Rampage, so you lose all of your priority damage and you just do AoE damage in front of you. I don't know, it just seems bad. There's also the potential of this talent being an issue. Whirlwind deals 100% increased damage when it hits 3 or more targets. You have no stacks of Improved Whirlwind, which probably just means that depending on the situation, everybody's just going to run a weak macro that is /cancel or a Whirlwind /cast Whirlwind. So every time before you cast Whirlwind, you just cancel all of the stacks to guarantee you always get the Meat Cleaver bonus, which seems against what Meat Cleaver is supposed to be. Probably what they should do instead is Whirlwind damage is increased by 25% for every Whirlwind stack consumed until the next cast. That way, if you're using all 4 stacks of that way, if you're playing efficiently and you use all 4 stacks of your Whirlwind buff, your next Whirlwind is powered by that 100% increase still. So it's the same effect, but you're also just kind of playing it normally instead of having to use macros potentially just to make sure you're getting bonus from a talent. It's very, very odd. Yeah, we do have some other crit damage bonuses like here in Critical Thinking. I don't know. This talent's also just god-awful. Our capstones are just whatever again, man. I don't know. The thing I was so worried about coming into seeing or not getting Warrior not getting a real rework is that Warrior deserves a full, like, real focused rework. But we didn't get it. We got a class tree shuffle, and then in Midnight, they're pruning and they're simplifying tons of specs, and Warrior just feels like it got the short end of the stick where it's not going to get the focus and time it deserves compared to the other classes that have had those kinds of, like, focused reworks that really fix and add a lot of enjoyment to the spec, whereas Warrior just kind of got put on the wayside. Anyway, I've kind of run out of things to talk. Not really run out, but that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Just kind of the weirdness of Fury, and then also, like I said, the pathing of the tree is not great. It is very... The pathing feels almost claustrophobic. Same thing with this, where it's like, yeah, we have a lot of, like, buttons here, but, like, I don't know, man. The reality is, someone's going to do the math. They're going to find the best build. I'm going to copy paste it. That's just what it's going to be. The math guys are going to do their thing. I don't really have anything else to talk about. Once again, I am a dumb idiot and completely killed the other video. Other video died. This video kind of okay. Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye.